Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. Welcome to TFH today, Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Our world is in chaos, people. I was going to do a different show today. I was going to take us back to the coronavirus situation. The UK is in dire straits. The world's in dire straits. This whole platform started because of the coronavirus. However, situations have dictated that unfortunately coronavirus has to take a back seat to what is currently going on in the world. Today, I want to bring you back to Mr. Floyd's situation. We're going to get back on the case. I'm going to bring you a few updates, some good news, some terrible news, some confirmation news as well. Okay, guys, so without further ado, let's get down to it. Guys, the main updates right now to bring to you guys, I've listed. Okay, the first thing is on Saturday, our tough Mr. Trump had to run from the White House, marshaled by his Secret Service guys, into the nuclear bunker of the White House. Now, why am I bringing you that as the first update? This is a tough talking person who is the toughest man on earth, is the smartest man on earth, is the strongest president we've ever had. And all it took was a couple hundred rioters at the gates of the White House, and he ran into the bunker. So that happened over the weekend, and there's been fallouts since that. The other thing as well, guys, we're crying. And I don't use the word crying lightly. I've seen no less than 5 or 6 journalists break down over the death of this guy. A lady journalist broke down on Saturday, and it brought tears to my eyes. A white lady, she couldn't control it. I've seen many people. My voice right now is not my voice because I'm choked up. And this is a very serious time in my life and anybody else who really knows what's going on at the moment. And while this has been going on, while we've been choked up about Mr. Floyd, let me tell you now that 8 more black men, have been killed since Monday. 8 more. And on the other side, 4 police officers were shot since Trump opened his mouth and called war on the protesters. 4 officers have been shot. 2 critical, 2 in hospital. 1 additional policeman was run over just last night. So there are 3 critical officers in hospital and 2. That's the other update. And the final update, guys, is Mr. Floyd's autopsy has come out. Thank God for where we are at the moment, because we've got 2 autopsies for Mr. Floyd. And we're going to discuss that later. So those are the big headline updates, guys. Okay. And we're going to discuss some of them. I have a part-prepared speech on some issues today, and I have my usual free flow with you guys, my audience. There's a lot going on, guys. There really, really is a lot going on. I never thought that my platform would actually deal with things like this when I say up. And it's serious. So, right, we're going to start with the black community, and I'm going to actually start with America. I'm going to start with America, guys, because, again, anyone who's followed my channel, I've called everything, guys. Everything that's happened, I've called it. I never called Mr. Floyd's death. But do you know what? Go back to my video on the 27th, which was Wednesday. The news about Mr. Floyd hit the airwaves on Wednesday night after I'd done my video. However, my video of Wednesday, the 27th, was what? It was declaring America a banana republic. The same day that the news of Mr. Floyd hit the airwaves, I called America a banana republic. And I put it out there to all news press companies, all news channels, all radio stations, and all newspaper press journalists, that no one has called America a banana republic. That if America had behaved in the way we've seen America behave in the last 3.5 years, any other country, especially a country of blacks, would have been called a banana republic. A country of color would have been called a banana republic. I made that call on Wednesday, and Wednesday night was when Mr. Floyd's death hit the news waves. And since then, the video I made on Wednesday, the 27th, if you go back and watch that video and look at where we are today, it's only now, last night, nearly a week after I called that country a banana republic, that CNN are the first press to call them a banana republic, to call them a dictatorship. Are we a dictatorship now, or are we a democracy? That's the same thing. I just didn't ask the question. I went straight for a dictatorship, which is a banana republic. Guys, this platform, I'm not calling stuff because I'm wise or anything. I'm not calling stuff because I'm more intelligent than others. I'm calling stuff because I'm just processing stuff. I'm calling stuff because I recognize what other people. I'm that informed. I remember the countries that politicians in the West, right, called banana republics. And I remember how those countries were behaving. Hence, I'm able to 15, 20, 30, 40 years later call the US a banana republic, because they're behaving just like the countries I saw them call banana republics all them years ago or all them months ago, whenever the hell it was. It's about being informed, my people, because when you're informed, you can make the right, you can judge things. And even when you're wrong, you're not far wrong. So I'm going to move on to updating on where we are on the fight, the movement. If there isn't a movement as yet, even though Trump thinks there is, because he's scared of movements. But there isn't. It's gaining momentum. In my opinion, it's gaining momentum. The biggest news today in the last 24 hours is the corporate companies are now coming on board. And I'm going to bring that news to you guys later. A list of companies, including Sony, Facebook, oil companies that have no connection to the USA at all, CEOs that have no connection to the US or blacks, are making decisions right now. I'm seeing things today that I have never seen in my life. And this is why I'm hopeful. What's missing in the game is what needs to be done. And I think that's what we need to discuss. And that's what my video yesterday was about putting out some ideas. And I'm going to discuss them individually through the course of the week. Those of you of our black community who are mentioning that monkey Trump's name in the same sentence as Obama or Hillary or Bill Clinton, I hope you're happy with your president's performance lately. I hope you're happy in your neo-Nazi videos, and those videos are probably telling you right now that Mr. Trump's doing great. Keep watching those videos and keeping up their agenda. We don't need you guys in the real world where we are fighting for change. We will fight for change. Those who live and reside in the real world, we will fight for this change. Those of you of color who want to exist in the right-wing bubble, stay where you are. We don't need you on this side of the fence. But I'm 100% sure they're not watching what's going on at the moment, and they're sticking to the little bubble of videos that the neo-Nazis are putting out to defend what's going on in America. Now, we want change, of course, okay? Everybody wants change right now. The biggest change that we as a community, world community, and when I mean community, I mean minus the right wing, minus the neo-Nazis, minus the agitators, and minus those in the colored community who don't believe and who don't respect and who have forgotten whose side they're on. We can bunch those people up together and push them aside because we are more than those people. So we need change. However, the change that we need is going to take a generation to be normal, for that to become the norm. And that's what people need to understand. There is a few things, like I said in my video yesterday, that if we put in place today, the very next morning, a black man's life is totally different to what we know it today. And like I said, I'll be discussing those one at a time. Now, I've heard restitution mentioned by really big people. However, this is my take on restitution. Restitution helps. It will help for sure. Economically, it will help. However, restitution does not change how a policeman deals with you. Being a millionaire and living in uptown massive house does not change what happens to you when you're in your car outside of your neighborhood. It doesn't change what happens to you when your son, when you've escaped the attention of the police or the corrupt system, but your son's now in that and he gets caught up in the same net and he could end up getting killed just like Mr. Floyd, money or no money. So for me, I would like to see the energy that's currently building up. I'd like to see that channeled towards one thing first and foremost, and that's social change. Leave the money, sod the money for now. Social change creates that freedom that killed Mr. Floyd. Because Mr. Floyd could have been a rich man. Maybe that cop wouldn't have bothered him, or that particular cop working in a ghetto might not have bothered him. However, another cop will, because the mentality is there. So in my opinion, guys, I want this movement, this energy to focus on first social change. Now, so what is social change exactly? Social change is the key to the protection of life. Social view of someone is what makes the white policeman look at a white man different to how he looks at a black man. Now, we can still be criminalized they can give us, I had $14 trillion mentioned this morning as restitution. And I'm guessing that's just the blacks in America. That is in the blacks in the Caribbean, because they also were taken in slavery. So $14 trillion I've heard mentioned. Now, split that amongst is it 40 million Americans? Split that amongst the 40 million black Americans. And they're wealthy, no doubt. However, if you don't fix what allowed that police officer to kill Mr. Floyd, that money is meaningless. You're just a rich victim. That's the difference. You're a wealthy victim, but you still are a victim. So for me, my people, I think we should focus on the social change. Social change is about changing the laws. Restitution is about giving you money, recompense, compensating you for what happened. Social change, changing laws, changes what happens to you on a daily basis in a country, guys. I believe social change first, right, to be put in place as well, creates the atmosphere for that restitution conversation to be had. Have a restitution conversation now, you're weak in that conversation. Have a restitution conversation when, after a generation, we're used to a different way of life for the last 5-10 years. Then conversations begin in that time. Because everyone else is now at a place where they're looking at you different. It allows that conversation to flow better. Okay? Now, like I said, I want to say this isn't a time for riots, friends. This is a time for harnessing the mood of the masses. The masses have a feeling, a particular feeling you can taste right now. That's what we need to harness. Okay? We've no power other than the power of the masses. We've got no power. To change something today, we can't change anything today. What changes it is the boots on the ground, the masses, the people, the support. When everybody turns around and they've all had enough, that's when things change. So this is a time for everyone, regardless of race, to say enough is enough. Okay? The intention and the strategy has to be, at the end of this pandemic, we're all going to have a different life. We're all going to be careful who we shake, who we go visit. We're all going to wear masks. Things are going to be different after this pandemic. So why don't we incorporate these changes as part of those changes? Use this pandemic, all the changes. Don't shake hands anymore. At the same time, put in a law that says the policeman has to, he has the burden of proof if he does something to a black person. That's also a new law, along with not shaking hands, along with social distancing. We're bringing in so many new laws right now and so many new changes. This is the best time we have ever had to have a new way of doing and seeing things. And that's what I want us to focus on more than anything else, right? It's about the laws that we put in place, guys. Laws change things, okay? Let's not forget the laws we have in place now is what allowed that officer to do what he could do to Mr. Floyd. The laws we have in place is what gave him the powers to do that. So we need laws to counterbalance those powers. I'm not saying take the laws away from them. That's overhauling the whole system. What I'm saying is add a few caveats here and there that puts checks and balances inside of the system, that puts weight on the other side so it balances up. Leave things as they are, put weight on this side so things balance up. And this is what I'm trying to achieve, because I know left to them, they'd give you the options that are difficult to do and give you all the reasons why that will take time to do. However, just like they can wake up overnight, if we turn around now, some organization, some NGO or some charitable organization for, I don't know, for crocodiles, because crocodiles are dying in extinction. Crocodiles are going extinct, for example. And some research has been done. As soon as that research is submitted, you have a whole ton of pressure on the government to make crocodile products, crocodile this and crocodile that, banned from coming into the country. Bang, the minute they do that, the crocodile's protected from all those who would have brought the crocodile skin, the crocodile itself, to the UK. They can't do that no more, automatically within a day. That's why the laws are the thing to discuss, guys. Let's not lose sight of what we need to discuss to implement the changes. You put one simple law in place and it automatically balances how people are seen and dealt with. And that's what we need to focus on, guys. Okay? Laws are the only thing that can correct the injustices, not money. Okay? Not better housing. Don't let them start promising £5 billion for better housing for black people. That's not going to cut it this time. It's the laws that need to change. It's the laws that protect people. It's the laws that prevent you from hurting someone else. If we didn't have laws in place, everyone will march up to a police officer right now in a state of anger and beat them up. Why do we not do that? Because of the laws that are in place. So guys, it's important that we keep those in mind, okay? Now, what I want to do next, okay, is bring you some live videos, all right? So I've said my piece, and we're going to discuss some videos now, okay? So the first video I want to bring to you guys is, remember I told you guys about Trump and the taking a duck into his bunker. Take a look at what's transpired with this monkey. I'm going to stop calling him a person. He's a monkey as far as I'm concerned. And guys, whoever watches this video, I need you to understand something. Some of you might say, oh, well, why is it all right for a black person to call a white person a monkey? I'll tell you why. When I call a white person, when a black person calls a white person a monkey, he's actually calling him an uncivilized person. He's calling the person uneducated, uncultured, uncivilized. Okay? When a white person calls a black person a monkey or makes a monkey noise, we all know that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is go back to your country, go back to the jungle. That's two different things. So yes, I'm entitled to call him a monkey because he's been behaving like an uncivilized person. A white person will call someone who's totally civilized, totally behaving normal, walking about his business, called up in a suit and tie, going to work. A white person, a racist person, will call that person a monkey for no reason. I would never have called Trump a monkey if he wasn't behaving like one. So for all those who think I'm being hypocritical calling him a monkey, I've just explained that. So from here on in, that person, I'm hardly going to refer to him in his name any longer because he has turned America into a banana republic. Take a look at what happened to this guy over the weekend.
Indicate that President Trump yesterday was angry at reports that he hid out in a bunker underground at the White House over the weekend as protesters were clashing with police at his front door. So yesterday, he showed force. He tried to show that he was in control. As the nation is in agony, the president came out here outside this church holding up a Bible and posing for cameras.
A photo op. Peaceful protesters exercising their First Amendment rights fired on with rubber bullets and tear gas by police, cleared away like garbage for a photo op. All of it under the watchful eye of the United States Attorney General, the Secretary of Defense, and the National Security Advisor.
And what was it all for? To clear the crowd so President Trump could stand in front of a boarded up church and hold up the Bible as a political prop. The church's bishop was furious.
Welcome back, guys. So yeah, he took a dive into tough guy, Mr. Django, or whatever he thinks he is, took a run. And because he'd done that, he got mad that the press reported it. And now his supporters who carry AR-15s up and down the high road going to buy bread, obviously they think they're tough guys. So they're a bit disappointed that their king tough guy is taking a run into the bunker when black people are at his gate. So because of that, he's done what he's done and come out posing with a Bible. Posing with a Bible in front of the camera. I mean, that smells, not even Putin would do that. That smells to me of the banana dictator of 60 years ago. Not even today's dictators behave that way. That's the joke of it. This guy is a throwback dictator. He's a dictator from the 20s and 30s. Anyway, let's move on from this monkey. I've got better things to talk about to you guys. Now, I told you guys about my video and America being a banana republic. And me being the first platform that talks to the public that made that statement. I was the first one to tell you guys Brazil was going to be a hotspot. I was the first one to tell you guys look out for right-wing governments and how their countries performed during the coronavirus. And I was right. Every single right-wing government has effed up. I'm sorry to use that language, but I'm truly peed off at the moment. And I never use bad language on my platforms because I got kids that watch it. But I bring you guys reality because I sit down and I bother to process. I bother to gauge what's going to happen. If I know how you behave, I can gauge what's going to happen. Now, CNN is now the second platform to ask the question, are we a democracy or are we a dictatorship? Take a look at these two newscasters, top of the range newscasters on CNN, Don Lemon and Cuomo. Take a look.
America, democracy or dictatorship? Democracy or dictatorship, America? It is your choice. And as we wait to see which it will be, there are curfews coast to coast as protests spread in American cities and all over America's cities. This is what the Trump presidency has come to. What happened in our nation's capital, our nation. Just a few hours ago, it was really stunning. Peaceful protesters fired on with tear gas, rubber bullets, flashbangs, to drive them out of Lafayette Park in Washington, D.C. The sound clearly heard in the Rose Garden as the president shamelessly proclaimed himself the president of law and order.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others.
Do not believe this man as he lies to your face. An ally of peaceful protesters? Play acting the part of Mr. Law and Order. And as his props, he will use the U.S. military that he is supposed to use to defend our citizens. What he wants is for his voters to see him standing on the steps of a church. Apparently the image needs to have him scowling. It is the first time he has visited a church since Christmas Eve, by the way. And he didn't have permission to be there. Standing there with a Bible in his hand, a Bible that wasn't even his own. Can I see that picture again, please? Can we see that again? It's a Bible. What was that all about with the Bible? What he wants is for his voters to see him. Look at that.
It's a me thing. It must be a we thing. The majority must stand up for the rights of the minority. That's not just the American way. It's the only way. And that's why this president remains silent on the true story. When he takes to his rabid refuge of Twitter, he says what demagogues in the past have said. He champions those who play to bigotry. He lumps the aggrieved in with outside agitators as thugs. Just like demagogues, he wraps his actions in the might of the military, perverting the mission of our armed forces and, frankly, BSing you over his actual power. He knows he can't use the Insurrection Act unless a governor requests it, unless he can show that they can't protect themselves. He doesn't meet the standard. Nobody's going to ask him for that kind of help because we're better than that. He orchestrated conflict for maximum gain. That's why he's doing this. Visibility. Timing his speech until after police moved in on a peaceful protest he said he was allied with. Then bathed himself in the illusion of holiness, holding up the good book. Open it. Read it. Go inside that church. It's about social justice and catering to the community. Don't ask why. Why does he use the military? He's doing it with George Floyd, for so many other young black men who've been in the same position. He's doing it with more than 100,000 preventable deaths, for the 40+ million out of work. Liberty and justice for all. Where?
Yep. Welcome back. Now, as bad as that is, guess who's also calling him a banana republic now? China. That's right. China, for the first time, is now able to point fingers at the US and say, look at you. Look at you. Your country is uncivilized. Take a look at China's report on this.
Has seized on the protests in the US to accuse the White House of a double standard, comparing the violent clashes in some American cities with their own handling of demonstrations in Hong Kong. But the chairman of the US Senate Intel Committee has accused Beijing of playing a major role in provoking the recent unrest. CNN's Stephen Jane live in Beijing for us this hour. So, Stephen, it's unusual for China try and turn the tables on the US, if you like, when it comes to human rights. But what is different this time is the claim coming back of China's involvement here. What specifically is Beijing accused of doing?
Well, John, some U.S. politicians and officials have been alleging, or at least alluding to, China's attempt to stoke chaos in the U.S. with, for example, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien pointing to Chinese social media reactions to the events in the U.S., saying they have been gloating about chaos in the U.S. And there's also some...
So, guys, the day when China can call you a banana republic, then it's over, isn't it? I mean, say no more, right? Guys, I brought you guys the story about the people that have been killed even during this situation. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. 8 black people have been shot dead by police since last week Monday. Many of them are not making the news like that. One happened just this morning, early hours of this morning in the US. Okay? A barbecue, a well-known neighborhood barbecue guy, a guy who puts out barbecues and sells chicken, ribs, whatever, shot dead. The police claim they thought he was shooting at them. Their body cams were off. Now, guys, when I come round to discuss my points, which I raised yesterday, 6 points there were, I'm going to go through each one of them. One of those points is actually taking the onus away from the citizen or the state and putting the onus on the police officer to prove he's not guilty. That one law would do so much to change the life of a black person. It's unreal. That one law, when an officer has to prove he's innocent, rather than us, the rest of the world having to prove he's guilty, then he's going to keep his body cam on, number one. Number two, he's going to think twice about shooting someone. Number three, he's going to make sure he dots all his I's and crosses all his T's. And if you find a black man dead at the end of all of that, he will be the first one to say, look, I did it all correctly. That one law can save so many lives. That's a key reason why police do what they do today. So 24 hours ago, Trump's military guy, his Secretary of Defense, says this.
I think the sooner that you mass and dominate the battle space, these were his words, the quicker this dissipates and we can get back to the right normal. I mean, when you have dialogue coming from the White House like that, where do we go from here?
Welcome back. Within hours of him saying that, and within hours of Trump talking about American citizens like they're combatants on the warfield, 4 officers are shot and one's run over. I've got a video of the one who's run over. I'm not going to put it on this platform. But take a look at what's been going on since this idiot monkey opened his mouth. Take a look.
Over the weekend, demonstrations were reported in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And in more than half the country, the National Guard has been called in to keep the peace. A slew of videos now emerging showing a semi driving through protesters in Minneapolis at some 70 miles per hour, according to police. No one, though, was seriously injured. Just one of several similar incidents in Minnesota and New York.
I knew I was in ground zero. I knew I was in danger, potentially, but we kept walking. We kept marching.
When you say ground zero, that is a term used in war. Is that what it feels like here?
It kind of does.
As America nears...
Welcome back, guys. And so that's terrifying what's going on there. And the good news is, as I'm about to come to now, is I'm seeing changes. I'm seeing a lot of changes. I mean, the fact that we've had 4, I do believe, we've had 2 chiefs of police and 4 officers dismissed in the last 4 days. Literally sacked. Never happened before. 2 chiefs of police sacked by 2 black mayors in 2 different cities. And then you got 4 police officers who I brought you in the video yesterday who tased the 2 college kids and said they thought they were armed. They were sacked on the spot. Now, rewind a week ago, even one day before Mr. Floyd was killed, those people still be in power. They'll still be roaming your streets, arresting people. I'm seeing change, and I'm seeing police officers for the first time truly feel the pain of the masses. There's another change I'm seeing though, people, like I mentioned earlier in the video. I'm seeing corporate change. I'm seeing the corporate companies that have no connection to America feeling what's now going on. Take a look at 2 videos. One about the corporate situation. So 2 sides of the corporate. There's there's events. I'll actually tell you about this. There's a music blackout, music industry blackout, which in fact is today. I'm going to bring you another blackout happening in July at the end of the video. The music blackouts today. So this is basically due to recent events. Please join us as we take an urgent step of action to provoke accountability and change, and so on. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen for you to have a look. Take a look. So there's that assistance from, or support, should I say, from the music industry, but there's also the corporate support, which to me is fantastic. And then you have the police officers whose moods are changing. So I'm going to play you two short clips now. One with the corporate situation, where we are, where this whole thing is in the corporate world, which many of you who are going to watch this video are not in touch with. You're not connected to, so you don't know what goes on in that world. This is when people like them start thinking how they're thinking now. This is a game changer at the beginning of the process. It's a game changer beginning, if you understand what I'm saying. So it is the beginning of this situation is totally different from any I've ever seen before. So hopefully the game changer beginning will lead to a game changer end. And that's my hope. So have a look at these clips.
In some cities, demonstrators worked to keep the peace, while elsewhere, police stood in solidarity with protesters. CNN's Tom Foreman has more.
That is a Target store in New York, and those are not police, but protesters protecting it, standing up to potential looters and vandals, telling them to go away. And that is happening in communities all across the land.
People work too hard. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. Let's walk.
In other places, the quest for cooperation has gone even further.
We hear you all.
With officers lowering their guard, taking knees, exchanging handshakes with protesters, and marching for the cause.
What we had tonight was a peaceful protest, and us joining them in a symbolic way to kind of recognize what had happened, that's the least we can do.
Even comforting the weary.
I'm hurt, same way you hurt, like everybody out here is hurt.
These quiet little acts of kindness and pleas for peace are easily lost amid all the noise, but they are occurring everywhere, giving hope to those looking for someone to lean on amid the fear.
That some are suggesting to close this inequality gap, John.
Well, I think you raise an interesting point here, because I see the donations from $500,000 to $10 million. The Verizon's, the telecom groups, $10 million is quite generous, but it's a $230 billion market cap company. And there's a danger this money gets dispersed and doesn't really make a change. The CEO of the Black Entertainment Network, Robert Johnson, who's always been very forthright, said it's time for reparations of $14 trillion to the black communities. That's a big number. He says it can serve as a stimulus going forward. Others are suggesting a brand new tax code, more progressive tax rate, raise the estate taxes here, and even having truth and reconciliation committees in the United States. I don't see it, Natalie, but I'm glad people are talking about it finally.
Absolutely.
Now, second to the last issue I want to discuss is the reason we need laws. Mr. Floyd's autopsy just came back. Now, autopsies normally in this case are done by the government. There's been many autopsies in this country where they said, yeah, he had underlying ailments, underlying conditions and things like this, and they try and blame it and twist it. However, this time they got a private, independent coroner. Okay, so 2 autopsies came back. Now, this is the funny thing you got to bear in mind. See, the government's coroner had his autopsy, released it on, I think it was last week he released it. He released it 2 days or so, but he released a temporary report. In his report, he still didn't come to the conclusion yet. So my guess is they were waiting to see what the family does, okay, before releasing that. So he released his 2 days before Monday. So he released his Friday, the government's coroner. However, the independent families coroner released his yesterday. As soon as his came out, a homicide, murder on the police officer, the government's come back, murder on the police officer. So, however, there is a difference in the two. The private one says nothing other than the pressure on his neck that killed him. He died from asphyxiation. The government's one says he had underlying circumstances. He died from his heart stopping. However, we don't know what made his heart stop. We just know he had issues before. Now, that's how they've been getting away with killing black people. Take a look at his autopsy.
Justice, as Floyd's death was ruled a homicide by both the Hennepin County medical examiner and in an independent autopsy authorized by the family.
The autopsy shows that Mr. Floyd had no underlying medical problem that caused or contributed to his death. Cause of death, in my opinion, is asphyxia due to compression of the neck.
But the Hennepin County medical examiner released its summary saying Floyd died of cardiopulmonary arrest without explaining what caused his heart to stop.
Welcome back. Now, just so you see the difference, I'm going to put both reports up on the screen. Take a look at them. Welcome back. Now, I want to finish, guys, on the support that we have at the moment from the music industry and from the corporate world, because it's really important to understand what that support does mean. It's huge, guys, and I don't want you guys to underestimate it. Okay? Guys, I want to end the video, okay, by bringing this to you guys. It's called Blackout Day, which is coming up on the 7th of July 2020, and it's a solidarity day, a call to action, similar to what I've been doing, okay? And this is addressed to every black person in the world, basically, and we need solidarity. Afro-Americans, Native Americans, Hispanics, Black, British, Caribbeans, Africans, any black people. As a total, we have an economic power of $3.9 trillion per year. And Blackout Tuesday, which is on the 7th of July, is that we don't spend a single penny. I am all for this, and I hope that not just the black people support this, but every fair-minded person as well. Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter who you are. We need your support. We need everyone to stop spending and let them know why we're doing this. So, guys, I'm going to put it up on the screen at the end of the show. Take a look at it, and it's on the 7th of July, and we'll discuss it again closer to the time. Now, I want to end with my goodbyes, and as well as finishing with that poster, I'm also just going to leave you with few words about the Banana Republic that's now the USA. Guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow.